Remember the first time she made a van flip? Everyone gasped because it felt impossible. Now she's clearing buses, ripping shockwaves through two worlds at once, and landing like a storm just hit the pavement. This isn't a random boost, it's control. She isn't just stronger, she's smarter with the power. She's using it like a toolkit, not a hammer. Think about what that means in a town under quarantine. Cameras on every corner, soldiers on the school steps, the upside down chewing through the sky. You can't solve that with one big blast. You need precision, micro moves. Jump here, blink there, break a door without waking the whole base. That's the difference. The Force, not fireworks. She can layer attacks, shield a friend, and still keep a link open into the void. One person acting like an entire squad. And then there's the new ceiling, cross-realm impact. You hit a target in Hawkins, and the echo smacks the upside down at the same time. That's how you fight a hive mind. You don't cut one vine, you burn the root. If 11 times it with Will's true sight, she can strike Vecna's signal at the exact second it surges through him. Pain for pain, pulse for pulse. But every upgrade comes with a cost. The more she lifts, the more it takes. Nosebleeds turn to migraines. Bruises appear where nothing touched her. Training mode won't be enough when the real thing screams back. She'll need someone talking in her ear, holding her steady. Hopper, calm and direct. Mike, focused for once. And maybe even Dr. K hunting from the other side, forcing 11 to evolve again under pressure. So the question isn't whether 11 can fly. It's whether she can hold that power long enough to crack Vecna's grip without cracking herself. Because the person she needs to catch before she falls isn't a soldier. It's Max, trapped somewhere you can't reach by running down a hallway. Max is breathing, her heart came back, but her mind is missing, and everyone knows exactly where it went. Not a hospital, not a room you can walk into, a design, a planet of rules, Camazotz. Call it a mindscape built by a tyrant. Everything marches in time until your will disappears. That's why Max couldn't be found in the void. She's behind a pattern, not a door. So what does a rescue look like? You don't yank the body, you break the rhythm. 11 has to step into Camazotz without becoming part of it. That means no obvious powers at first. Hide the signal. Copy the beat until the pattern trusts you. Then twist it. Change a light that never changes. Slow a clock by one tick. Teach the world to stutter. In a realm where sameness is control, difference becomes a weapon. Lucas is the anchor on the outside. He carries the guilt like a backpack made of lead, but that pain could be the tether 11 needs. A memory only he can feed her. Skate wheels under Max's shoes. The song that saved her last time, but used differently. Not as protection, as a key. Play one note off. Let Max hear the wrongness and follow it out of the loop. Vecna won't let this go quietly. He learned from the last escape. He'll move the goalposts, shift Max into a copy of a copy, bind her with a happier memory that isn't real, a smile that never happened. That's the trap. If 11 punches too hard, Max snaps with the world. If she pulls too gently, they both stay asleep. So the plan becomes a rescue that teaches Max to rescue herself. Show her the seam in the wallpaper, hand her the thread, let her do the final tear, because the final tear is the proof. When she wakes, she won't be the same Max. She'll be the one who broke Camazotz from the inside. And that would give the team something they haven't had all season, a way to hurt Vecna where he thinks he's God. The title refuses to finish the sentence, and that's the point. The vanishing of a name we've heard since the beginning. Only now it isn't Will, it's Holly. The kid who never had a storyline suddenly becomes the match that lights the town. Why her? Because the pattern loves echoes. Season 1 repeats with a twist. Smaller target, lower profile, easier to move without the whole town noticing. Look at the setup. Hawkins is locked down, military signs everywhere. Families stuck inside houses that don't feel like homes. A bathroom becomes a bunker. A child hides behind a door while the lights flicker like they did for Joyce. It's familiar dread, new victim. And if Holly has been recast older, the story wants her to carry weight. Not just a scare, a purpose. Here's the theory that ties it together. Vecna doesn't need power, he needs pathways. Holly sits at the center of a family that connects to Mike, Nancy, and through them, to 11 and Will. Take her, and you move all the pieces without touching the queens. It's psychological warfare. You force the party to split. Nancy goes investigator. Mike goes frantic. Karen goes from background to a mother who will bulldoze soldiers if she has to. And then the cold, open twist everyone's whispering about. Vecna in a human shell, approaching like a neighbor. It's worse than a monster. It's trust being used as a weapon. If that's the scene, the show is saying out loud what it hinted before. He can reach you here, where you think the real world is safe. Finding Holly won't be about brute force. It'll be about reading the town like a map of weak points. Radio towers, storm sirens, school hallways that echo the same note too long. Every breadcrumb leads to a trap with Turnbow written all over it. Which means if the group wants Holly back in one piece, the next move has to be played on a board they don't control. We've been living inside the symptoms so long, we forgot to ask about the cause. What is the upside down, really? Not just a mirror, not just a hive. The creators keep teasing 3 layers like a bad sandwich. Dimension X, the classic upside down, and a hellscape that leaks in between. If that's true, the origin isn't a single event, it's a chain reaction. Start at the push. 11 sends Henry through the wall. He doesn't die. He discovers a wild place full of particles that can be shaped by will. He gathers them, names them without words, and eventually builds a design we mistake for a monster. That's the first sin, not creation, control. Then the Mother Gate opens in Hawkins, and the blueprint copies the town like wet ink on glass, freezing it at the moment Will disappeared. Time stopped there for a reason. It marks the first successful imprint. Why does that matter now? Because if the upside down is a construct sitting on top of something older, you can unmake it without breaking the world underneath. That's the key to ending this without wiping Hawkins off the map. You don't nuke the mirror, you dissolve the glue. Sever Vecna's will from the particles he shaped. Free the thing he bent. If the Mind Flayer was a net he tied into a fist, opening the hand could collapse the whole design. Practically, it means 2 fights at once. In Hawkins, shut the rifts and starve the invasion. In the Mind, rip Vecna's author privileges away. 11 can hit the code, Will can find the root. Dustin reads the pattern. Nancy and Steve get them the minutes they need. Hopper keeps soldiers pointed the right way. Joyce keeps the family from breaking while the ground shakes. When it works, the world won't snap back to perfect. The scars will stay. Burned fields, twisted trees, memories you can't scrub. But normal might become possible again, right side up. And if that phrase sounds too clean, remember this. Something always leaks, which is why the story can close a door and still leave a light on, just bright enough to make you wonder what's moving in the dust.
You and I, we are going to do such beautiful things together, William. Such beautiful things.
Start with the shot that keeps replaying in your head. Fire, alarms, and Will suspended in the air like the clock has him by the throat. Vecna doesn't say William for nothing. He says it like a command. You are going to help me one last time.
You are going to help me one last time.
That line isn't a threat, it's a plan. Vecna has always used Will as a sensor and a doorway. Season 2 proved it. When Will gets cold, Hawkins freezes. When he feels the tingle on his neck, something is already here. So what's different now? Vecna doesn't just want a spy, he wants a conductor. The upside down is bleeding into Hawkins, but it needs a living amplifier to push through fast. Will is the perfect antenna. He still has true sight. He still feels what the others can't. If Vecna anchors his hive mind through Will, he can punch past the military walls and the metal plates sealing the rifts. And because Will is older, stronger, and angrier, the signal would carry further than before. But there's a twist that changes everything. What if Vecna isn't just hijacking Will? What if he's trying to unlock something inside him?
What if he never left? What if we locked him out here with us?
Henry Creel discovered power in isolation. Will survived in that same dark, sensitive, artistic, tied to a place that refuses to let him go. If Will has a spark, Vecna will drag it out and bend it to his will. Vessel first, rival later. That's why Vecna speaks like a disappointed mentor. He's not done shaping his project. The team's only counter is connection. Mike grounding Will with words that actually land. 11 building a psychic firewall strong enough to jam the hive. Joyce and Jonathan pulling him back with real memories, not bait. And Steve, Dustin, Lucas, Nancy, all buying time in the real world while the battle moves inside Will's head. But the part no one wants to say out loud sits like smoke in that hallway. If Will is the doorway, closing it might mean closing him too. And if that's true, the plan they're about to make will feel more like a goodbye than a rescue, unless 11's next upgrade changes the rules entirely.